World famous music reviewer Anthony Fantano is being called a racist on Twitter right now, and it is going viral. My name is Dan Frampton. This is Sloppy Seconds. Likes and subs. Let's go. If you're on the internet and also listen to music, there's a 100% chance that you know the name Anthony Fantano. You might not know the other name in this situation though. The other name in this situation is a guy named DJ Akademiks. I know the word DJ is in his name, but he's more or less a streamer. He has kind of like this whole network of stuff going on the internet, and him and Anthony Fantano have been beefing and feuding for a little bit. But to talk about this story, we're gonna need to go back to the year 2016. Now, the year 2016 was a much different time than it is today in the year 2025, especially on the internet. In the year 2017, there was a thing called the adpocalypse, which restricted the speech of a lot of creators. But back in 2016, that was not the case. There was this creator named iDubbbz that had a particularly famous catchphrase. It started with an N-word and then ended with an F-slur. You know the one. And back in those times, Anthony Fantano had a second channel. This second channel was a meme channel where he did meme reviews and that kind of thing, and that thing was called That Is The Plan. And it was on That Is The Plan where he made all sorts of jokes. He made fun of SJWs, just like everybody else on the internet back then. He said all the same slurs and shocking things that everybody else was doing back then. Nothing that Anthony Fantano was doing on That Is The Plan was necessarily unique to him, other than reviewing the memes. But that style of humor, that kind of like brash, shock value, super edgy thing, that was just the comedy of the time. All the biggest names were that level of offensive in comedy. H3 was crazy. The aforementioned iDubbbz was absolutely nuts. Max Mofo, Anything for Views, Filthy fucking Frank. That was just the fucking humor. And any one of these guys that I just mentioned could be getting dragged the way that Fantano is being dragged right now if they had an enemy like DJ Akademiks that is just gathering all these decade-long clips and quotes to frame his enemy like a racist, a misogynist, a sexist, and a homophobe. So what I have pulled up over here is the Akademiks TV Twitter account, and on this account there's just so many clips of Fantano saying all sorts of edgy jokes from 2016, and personally I'm not interested in any single one of them. Everybody that was on the internet back then was making these kinds of jokes. There is absolutely nothing special or unique about these clips, and they're being framed like, oh my god, can you believe the thing that Anthony Fantano was saying? Oh my god, back then he was such a racist and a homophobe and a hateful freak. So in this clip right here in the middle, I am not gonna play it. It is just Anthony Fantano repeating that famous iDubbbz catchphrase. Now, I find it pretty uncomfortable to listen to all these years removed, I'm not gonna lie, and iDubbbz has come out and apologized for all of these jokes. But I will say, iDubbbz was not the only one making these jokes. Everybody was. And even back then, Fantano got canceled for being alt-right when Fader did a whole article about his channel That Is The Plan. So you're on the internet right now and you're wondering, hey, where is Anthony Fantano's second channel? I thought you said he had a second channel. Well, he took it down because he was accused of being racist and misogynist and homophobic all back then by this publication called Fader. So Anthony Fantano cammed up, he explained himself, he apologized for the things, and he took down the channel. Which you hate to see him like bend a knee like that, but I think he thinks it's more risk to have a channel like that when he's trying to be like a professional journalist and music reviewer kind of thing. And on this Akademiks TV account, if you go through it, he is obsessed with Anthony Fantano. Oh, you're using AI to make fun of Anthony Fantano? Really boring stuff, man. We're gonna be getting into his response here soon, but it just looks like a guy obsessed over here. But the way that he focuses in on Anthony Fantano, reposts clip after clip after clip. This is 8 minutes of him making all those same jokes, being like, yeah, everyone was like that back then, bro. What is your point? So then, just like he did all the way back then when he did that Fader apology, he cammed up for taking accountability today on Twitter. Fantano! We're not gonna go through the entire 8-minute apology over here, but we'll go through some of it. Roll it.
Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and in case you haven't noticed, I'm getting torn apart on Twitter, which is nothing new for me. personally, but the discourse seems to have reached a fever pitch that's making a lot of people concerned and angry and even thinking I'm covertly a racist, bigoted person. Now, these are the same sorts of allegations that I have fought against and won before, and I'm happy to do it again because I have nothing to hide and I know they're not true.
I don't know if he's happy to do it again, but he certainly is doing it again.
I don't waste anyone's time, so let's just get straight into it. With Exhibit A, this clip right here, which has just been going absolutely viral, and here's my explanation for it. Early on in my YouTube career, I had some pretty lax views when it came to quoting the language of others, and my point of view was, what does it matter? It's not me saying it. I'm relaying a lyric or a sentiment or a point of view expressed by someone else. I'm even embarrassed to say that I don't think it was until like a few years ago that I actually changed and censored the text of this 2014 Death Grips review title. And as you can see in the comments of this video, there's even a lot of discourse and jokes flying around about me not saying the title. And at the time, this sort of thing left me feeling like this is more or less a moral gray area. I extended this attitude into other pieces of content I've made, like this one, where it is also clear I am quoting someone even in the tightly edited state this clip has been presented in.
I'm just gonna stop him there. He wasn't the only one that had that kind of, I don't know, ethos or philosophy when it came to quoting something. Like even in school when you're reading books, like old books that had that word in it, and you're reading it aloud to the classroom, the teachers encouraged you to say it. So you sat in that uncomfortability, you know? And just like Anthony Fantano was explaining here, people in that comment section of that Death Grips album review are saying, why aren't you saying the whole word in the title over here? But in the year 2025, when we look back at that kind of stuff, it's like, how were we as a collective group of people just quoting things like that all nonchalant or whatever? Anyway, Fantano, continue.
The reason I'm doing so is to voice disagreement with calling people racial and homophobic slurs as a bit, which is what the original content creator I was quoting was doing. And he himself has since apologized for this whole era of his career.
One thing that I'm wondering here is why is Anthony Fantano failing to name iDubbbz? He's like, oh, a content creator said this thing. I was quoting this content creator. He's come out and apologized for it. I guess like everybody knows, I suppose, but already it just feels like you're not saying the full thing.
But I'm not getting deeper into the weeds than that because this video isn't about him. Because the fact of the matter is I should have...
It's not that it was about him, but you could have just said his name, you know?
And could have just censored myself while pointing this behavior out. But unfortunately, my position left me feeling kind of nonchalant because it's not the words themselves, but the sentiment of them that's being expressed that's truly disgusting. And sure, while that is true on some level, explicitly quoting him was in bad form and just unnecessary.
Super unnecessary, absolutely. I'm glad that I do not have any clips of me quoting Ian iDubbbz Joma on the internet, making those kinds of jokes. But even if I did, I'd be able to juxtapose them with a million other people on the internet and a million other content creators being like, I wasn't the only one. I'm not saying that because it was right. I do agree that we've all self-corrected and are not doing that anymore. But to point at somebody and be like, you were the only one making these jokes. It's like, no, that was the culture. That was kind of the zeitgeist at the time. Yeah, it was wrong. Yeah, it was disgusting, and yes, I'm embarrassed about it. But can we move on as a society, please?
I have still gotten my point across and done so without upsetting anybody had I taken that approach. And I feel this way now because of an important realization I only made after tons and tons of people were watching me, that I don't make content just for me, I do it for an audience.
Tons and tons of people. He had to throw that in. It's like, oh, I didn't want to self-correct myself until I realized that I'm talking to tons and tons of people. Not because I should do it because it's the right thing to do for me personally. That feels kind of like the Hulk Hogan response, I'm not gonna lie. It's like, I'm not sorry, I'm sorry for being caught by my large audience.
And I can't dictate what anyone watching may or may not find harmful or offensive. No more than with a review, I can dictate what music you do or don't like. So I would rather err on the side of caution and not hurt anyone by explicitly voicing language that doesn't exist in a vacuum, even if I am quoting it.
And that was his whole kind of reason for getting rid of the "that is the plan" thing as well. It's not really worth the risk. I have lots of people watching me. I would like to continue having lots of people watching me, so I'm not gonna say the things that I actually think or believe or the jokes that I want to make. That's how this reads. And I want to be on Anthony Fantano's side. I am on Anthony Fantano's side in this situation, but this apology over here, I can see how it's not going to be accepted by the people that you're apologizing to.
That's actually been my approach for a very long time now. I mean, this clip may be new to you, but it's actually almost 10 years old. If this was ever something I made a regular habit of doing, believe me, you'd be seeing more examples than this. All I can do is take ownership of having quoted these words in this way, and obviously say that I'm sorry, which I am in fact sorry about this. Now, there are going to be some people watching this video who will say, no, that's not enough.
I don't know if I believe that he's sorry, especially saying that after he's saying, I don't want to do this because I have a large audience, you know? Those two things don't actually line up. Are you changing the way that you speak and the way that you frame things because you have a large audience? Or are you genuinely sorry and understand the impact and the harm that these words have? I can't dictate what harms you is what he's saying. That shouldn't be what makes you self-correct yourself, you know? That shouldn't be what guides your morality. I can't help what hurts you. What? Fantano, I want to be on your side, but this is not really an apology. This is bad, because I really don't think that Anthony Fantano is a racist, a misogynist, a homophobe at all. But the way that he's framing this and the way that he's talking about it kind of comes across like a smug asshole, being like, I wouldn't be those things, look at me.
I know you're a racist. I saw a clip of you laughing at Trayvon Martin's death, which I guess this is the clip.
Vegan invited me to an event that taught me about PETA's buying guide slash neoliberal whiteness and Trayvon Martin. Okay.
Dude, fuck Trayvon. I was thinking Trey Melvin. I had a big thing with Trey Melvin.
Which I will.
All right, that clip there does look pretty bad, not gonna lie. But it also had a lot of cuts and edits in it. So let's hear Fantano out here.
That doesn't look good. But believe it or not, the way this clip has been presented is a lie, and it's been heavily edited too. First off, I gotta say the Drunken Peasants podcast where I was appearing in that clip is explicitly not a right-wing podcast. While yeah, it's true the show has featured a pretty wild range of guests over the years and the humor tends to run a bit edgy, they also regularly make fun of right-wingers, alt-right psychopaths, and the president. And in this clip that you just saw, I'm reading a super chat that is on the screen that was sent in by a viewer of the show. And the reason I'm jumping into reading it is that partially it is a dig at me, because on the show it's not exactly a secret that I'm an openly liberal vegan. And from there, here is what actually happens.
A vegan invited me to an event that taught me about PETA's buying guide slash neoliberal whiteness and Trayvon Martin. Okay.
Dude, fuck Trayvon. I was gonna. I was gonna say Trey Melvin, but it's no Trayvon Martin.
Man, totally you're so. You know what, Jeff? You're so right wing.
As you can see there, that is not the clip that is getting passed around. In this original clip, Jeff Holiday there on the podcast doesn't even finish his sentence. He apparently gets Trayvon Martin mixed up with someone else entirely, and I even call him a moron.
So those are the two clips that are going viral right now that Anthony Fantano is responding to. The second clip, the Trayvon Martin one, was obviously doctored, you know? Should he have been reading it word for word the way that he was reading it? Probably not. No, probably not. No. And it still doesn't look the greatest, I'm not gonna lie. But I do believe Anthony Fantano to be a liberal vegan. He has far more of a track record of being a liberal vegan than he does having being alt-right. But this apology over here, taking accountability as it's labeled here, wasn't good enough for DJ Akademiks. Bitch made alt-right hip-hop commentator dropped a weak-ass apology video after being exposed as a hardcore racist. And it's in this tweet right here that I realized that DJ Akademiks isn't really concerned about the truth. He isn't really concerned about calling out racism or homophobia or anything like that. No, this is a bad faith argument. This is a bad faith way of framing it. You can call him bitch made, but alt-right hip hop commentator and exposed as a hardcore racist is just untrue and an unfair way of framing your story or whatever. But you're out here for the clicks, you're out here for the engagement, and I think that you've even changed the way that this is worded. because I went over here and you basically posted it again with this caption. Known racist and avid N-word user, hard R by the way, goes on a 7-minute yap fest making excuses and deflecting blame after he got exposed for making fun of Trayvon Martin's death, and several other clips showcasing his blatant racism. This is just a bad faith way of framing this story. This is the way an enemy talks about another enemy. DJ Akademiks isn't concerned about stopping racism. He's not concerned about misogyny or homophobia. He just wants to take down Fantano. And I get it. Fantano comes across as smug. He comes across like he thinks he's better than everybody else. And he has a history of really questionable clips. So putting all those things together, I could see how it could be a tantalizing cocktail to want to get rid of this guy off the internet, especially if he's talking about your genre of music or your culture in a way that you think is stupid or bitch made, the way that you put it. But I think the way DJ Akademiks is framing all this is only being done so for attention, for bait, and to get rid of his enemy. It's just beefers throwing beef, what can I say? Now me personally, I don't think it was the best apology in the world. There was kind of some hypocrisy in it, and I made all of those observations during the reaction. So what do you think of this whole situation? Do you think Anthony Fantano is a racist? Do you think he's a bitch-made, racist, avid N-word user, hard R by the way? I want to know, sound off down below. Or was he just irresponsibly quoting and reading quotes that he shouldn't have been reading and quoting? It took iDubbbz famously 32 years to unlock empathy, and over here for Fantano, it looks like it's taken an extra 8. But anyway, that's been the Slop. Goodbye, see you later, and have a good one.